Welcome to the Wild Physio podcast with your hosts, Andrew Wild and Chaz. How are you, mate?
Good mate, how are you?
Very well.
Happy
It's
New
been a
Year.
few weeks since the Christmas New Year break, and we're back.
Yeah, we're back.
We're back, and we're talking all things New Year resolutions and how to stick to your New Year's resolutions and your goals going forward. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of things to cover in this one. And I guess kind of talking through, and we'll talk about like physio and nutrition related things, obviously, provide examples, and kind of go through why goals usually fail over the new year, and then kind of how to set realistic goals and ones that are kind of sustainable, and what to do if you do go off plan and kind of how to get back on the track, I guess, throughout the year.
Before we get into how to set up a goal or goals going forward, why do you think most people fail with their New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think a lot of people kind of set goals like kind of with emotion, like the post-Christmas guilt, as you say, going through a like, long period of time off work or kind of just eating freely, less training, kind of feeling a bit puffier, whatever the reason is, low energy. I think there's a lot of emotion involved in your goal setting, and you really want to be like you're a lot more restrictive than you should be if you were feeling good, motivated, like if you weren't feeling like too out of routine and you're being a bit more realistic with your goals and what actually is sustainable throughout the year. I think you have a bit of a chip on your shoulder a little bit when you feel terrible and you really want to push yourself. And that'll last maybe a month, if that. And you're back to square one, really.
Yeah, and you see any commercial gym around Australia right now, there's a lot of people in the gym, but it's amazing when you get into February and March and then April, just the drop off. And I'm pretty sure the statistics from a Fitness First perspective are 60 to 70% of the members of Fitness First don't even go.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
you can see there that people have these great intentions to go. They sign up, they start, but they often start with, say, 3 or 4 or 5 sessions a week, and it's
Hmm.
unrealistic. It's not sustainable. And I think that's the biggest reason. People have these ridiculous goals that just don't align with their lifestyle,
Hmm.
and they just can't maintain it. So this is one of the reasons why, and we'll dive into this now, why always ask the person if they come in and they're like, I want to make a change. I want to make a change from a body composition perspective. I want to look better. I want to feel better. I always ask them, what is sustainable?
Hmm.
What can you commit to? Is it 1 session a week? Is it 2 sessions a week?
Yeah.
How much commitment do you want to have in terms of nutrition? Because if you can't see yourself doing it for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, you're probably going to give up.
Yeah.
So you need to make it sustainable. So
Absolutely.
from a nutrition standpoint, with the sustainability of one's goals, how would we go about it?
Hmm. Yeah, look, we can really break down these goals into like small steps, and that's really going to equal like sustainability for sure. So I think, and this is a perfect time to have this kind of podcast and talk about this topic because I want a lot of people to kind of normalize their appetite and their body changes and the routine, normalize how you feel. Don't feel like you have a chip on your shoulder. Getting like your baseline appetite, a bit of routine with nutrition. Go back to what you're doing before Christmas time, even for a week or two. Get it back to routine. Don't feel like you have any emotion towards your goal setting. I think that's number one, is to try to like, don't feel like you need to restrict yourself so much. You don't need to do a detox, because all that kind of leads to like increases hunger lately. It kind of like later, it kind of causes like overeating, grazing. You feel like you're kind of out of control with the hunger cues. Where you really want to push yourself. And I guess it's starting with your why is the first thing I think when setting up your goal. So how do you want to feel day to day? I think a lot of people focus on kind of like the end result. Like they kind of really focus on like, I just want to lose weight. Okay, how much weight? And why do you want to lose the weight? Is it because you just want to see less weight on the scale? Or is it because you actually you want to feel different? You want to feel more confident in your clothes. You want to be able to be more agile with tennis, whatever it is. I think you really need to find out your why first. Like more stable energy. Is it you want to feel more filled and less restricted with your food? You want to perform better in the gym, those type of things. And then we can kind of tee together this as well, Andrew. I think the next thing is like you choose 1 to 3 focus areas, I guess, when you're choosing your goal. And this kind of prevents a bit of like less overwhelm. But also, imagine trying to set more than like three kind of goals for the year. You would even like, is it quantity over quality, really? You're kind of focusing on too many things, spinning plates going on. And you really need to focus on some kind of ones that actually align with your why, I guess. And I guess nutrition related could be like, I just want to have, and you really focus on small like things like we mentioned that are kind of sustainable. So it could be just like eating regular meals to start with. It could be having protein at each meal. It could be having a bit of like more hydration. I want to aim for 2 liters every day. And then, or even like twice a week to start off with. You really want to just focus on small things that are kind of sustainable. And then eating enough to kind of support training, whatever that looks like for you. Do you have any examples as well on your side?
Well, I think the big thing is a lot of people think that they need to have this massive overhaul, and they're overhauling everything. They're overhauling their sleep, their exercise, and their nutrition, and they're trying to keep too many balls in the air. I think focusing on one or two max
Hmm.
would be the way to go about it, and building a habit with one of them first before you focus on everything.
Yeah.
Build the habit with the exercise and get that nailed. And based off the research that we have, it takes roughly, on average, 66 days to develop a habit, so over 2 months.
Hmm.
So that's going to take a decent amount of time to absolutely nail the exercise component to the point where you're doing 2 sessions a week, if that's the goal.
Yeah.
And then from there, if you start to nail that, then you can, all right, I'm going really well with 2 sessions a week. I'm going to add a third session in. And then you keep focusing on the exercise. And invariably, if people start to nail the exercise component, they'll start to eat better. They'll
Hmm.
start to look at their nutrition. And it's the same with the other way around. If people start to focus primarily on the nutrition in the first couple of months of the new year, then they'll start to feel better. They'll start to see the changes with their body composition, or their clothes fit better, they feel better, they're sleeping better.
Hmm.
All of a sudden, because they're sleeping better and eating better, looking better, they're like, all right, maybe it's time now I start to exercise. So I think it's a matter of kind of snowballing it over time, not just creating this big snowball all at
Yeah.
once.
Uh-huh.
It's so important because the statistics on weight loss and people going back to where they started and putting all that weight back on is pretty horrendous.
Hmm. Absolutely. And then some sometimes as well.
Exactly, yeah. Most people that are overweight or obese will lose a massive chunk of weight at some point in their life. Statistically, I'm pretty sure it's 6 out of 7 people will lose a decent chunk of weight over their life if they
Hmm.
are overweight or obese. But most of those people put the weight back on,
Hmm.
and a lot of them put on more.
Hmm. Yeah. And that goes back to having that chip on your shoulder. You can be so aggressive from it at the start. And like 6 out of 7 people, there's obviously something wrong with their goal setting. If it's like emotional kind of intention, and you're like, oh, I just want to lose this weight. I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I lose a big chunk of it, and then what, 2 months later they're back at square one, and then some because they didn't have the behaviors change implemented where they kind of you honestly need to like kind of change your identity a little bit with these goals. You really want to make your environment seamless as possible. You want to live that person that actually wants to achieve those goals. Yeah.
Exactly. And there's a guy, I don't know whether you're aware of him, called Ethan Surpley, I think his name is. And he was an actor and he was severely obese. And
Hmm.
he was on My Name is Earl, I think the show was. Anyway, he was really obese and he lost a huge amount of weight and he looks amazing now. And he talks about it, the fact that he effectively had to kind of kill a part of himself to get to that point.
Yeah.
And he had to remove himself from situations that weren't allowing him to reach his goals.
Hmm.
And that included not hanging out with some friends that had been a bit of a destructive relationship for him with
Hmm.
food, alcohol, drugs, etc. So I think people, it may have taken someone 10 years to put on 10 kilos and they want to lose 10 kilos and they expect to lose it in 2 months,
Hmm.
3 months, 4 months.
Yeah.
You need to be realistic. It's going to take a long time for you to lose that weight that's taken you a long time to put on.
Hmm.
So you need to play the long game with this. And that's the reason why it's all about sustainability and building habits. And to segue off that, we discussed this before we actually got on the podcast. Have you got any resources out there from a habits perspective and to build sustainable habits going forward that you like to use with your nutrition and dietetic clients?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best resource, I mean, the whole book is it's gonna be a commitment in itself, but Atomic Habits has been one that really sticks out for me, and it really changed my life when I read it. It was like probably 4 years ago when I read it, and it literally changed my life. I listened to it several times. I did the audiobook after that as well, just to really nail down there's a lot of steps involved and a lot of information involved. You really just focus.
Before you go on, to create a bit of a human element to the podcast right now, what did change for you after you read it? And it sounds like to me that you changed some of your habits,
Yeah,
but I think a lot of people out there think that us physios and dietitians, we're just perfect, like we exercise all the time, we eat well, we do all these things, but at the same time, we're human, right?
yeah.
Like I had blowouts, you had blowouts, but how do we reach our goals going forward typically is based off habits. So what actually changed for you after you did read Atomic Habits?
hmm I guess the biggest thing I learnt was controlling your environment. So you have those days when you're really motivated, the start of the year feeling really motivated, but having a step forward of like, okay, what am I going to do in my environment that's going to make this just easier for me? Like it's working smarter, not harder here. Like you can't work harder from the start and just keep going. And I really focused on elements throughout my environment, the house, where or work, whatever it is, where it's just going to be easier for me. Obviously, my goal wasn't weight loss at the time, but there's worked at weight loss as well. Mine was kind of getting higher energy throughout the day and kind of getting more nutrition in, getting more energy for training. And I just had like convenient snacks in the fridge or at work or in my work bag, just snacks that are no preparation involved. You could just prep, like you could just have them there and then. And that's like a perfect example of controlling your environment so it's as seamless as possible and make it easy as possible. Another one was hydration. I got like an insulated drink bottle that's like keeps cold water like all day around. And I'll just carry that around with me. And you're naturally going to sip at it. And then I enjoy cold water more than warm water. If I have like a plastic pump bottle with me, it's going to be lukewarm. I'm going to chuck it out. But if I get insulated with ice, I'm going to sip at it and then I'm going to fill it up. I'm going to keep drinking. And then I like hit my 3 liter goal every day just instantly because it was part of my environment. You can focus on the things. It's not harder to do that at all. It's probably harder to go to Servo and buy the water or try and fill up a cup and then sip that. It's probably more work doing that than it is getting a drink bottle and putting ice and water in it. It'll last you half the day, and then you fill it up again. Like those are perfect examples where you're controlling your environment to make it easy as possible. And I guess you kind of have to look at your own goals, whether it be weight loss or whatever it is, having healthier snacks or convenient, healthy nutrition snacks in your house. Maybe it's removing key items that kind of you really crave, or once you have one, you can't stop. Environment could be having pre-packaged food, like even if you want the chocolate, maybe buy like the small bars instead of the whole block. Those environments changes really just make it easier for you to follow, and you're not setting up a failure. You're like, yeah, I'm starting this goal, but I'll allow myself to have chocolate once a week. Okay, you're not going to buy a 2 kilo block and then just sit it in the fridge ready to go because by that time you want it in that week, you're going to have the whole week's worth in one go. So there's no point. So it's really just making your environments as easy as possible. And that's the key thing I learned from that
Yeah,
book.
you need to hack human psychology with this and not have too many things in your fridge and your pantry that are too easy to overconsume.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I typically don't buy a massive block of chocolate because once I pop, I can't stop. And there was even that amazing study done on soft drinks and water. Pretty sure it was at Harvard where they changed where the soft drink was, and all they did was put the water in front of the soft drink on the top level of the fridge, and the percentage of people actually grabbing the soft drink dropped considerably because human beings are inherently lazy. So if you've got no junk food at home, in the cupboard or in the fridge or freezer, it's pretty unlikely you're going to drive all the way up to Woolies or the Servo to go and get some junk food. It's a little bit easier now with Uber Eats, I get that. But at the same time, having too many available options at home is just too easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's way too easy. And remember, they're adding sugar, fat, and salt to these things to make them taste so bloody good. You just want more. It's like those chip
Unpalatable.
packets. Man, the chip packets, you have a couple of chips and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to smash a heap of those. So I
Yeah.
think that's so important. And were there any other things within Atomic Habits that you really put into place in your own life?
hmm I guess, and the same role in reverse. I can provide the Uber Eats example. You can do the reverse to make a habit kind of less attractive. So, the example would be deleting the app. Well, crazy. It just adds an extra step to Okay, now I have to download it, now I have to log in. Those things, those simple things, you can't find it on your phone. You forget about it. You forget you even wanted a snack. And you're like, oh, I have an apple, whatever it is. You can make those bad habits more difficult, less appealing, less attractive in your environment. It could be, okay, I really love Coke. Okay, I'm going to put Coke Zero in the fridge instead of Coke. I don't know. That's an easy step that you can just change. It's seamless. It's easy. And then the next one I was kind of really like kind of realized as well was kind of making your goals or your action steps more specific. So, okay, not focusing on, I just want to get more protein in my day. Okay, well, how are you going to do that? And I guess example would be like, okay, I'm gonna have a palm size, portion size on my main meals every day. So I'm gonna have, and then you can start with 3 days a week. Could be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You start with a more specific setting. So it's way more achievable. It's way more kind of like, okay, it's not overwhelming from the start. Okay. And it's less decision fatigue when you're thinking, okay, how am I going to hit the protein for my week? Okay, let's focus. Let's take a step back. All right, a palm-sized protein source at each main meal. Okay, I'll do that once a week. I'll make it once a week. And then you look at, okay, you go back to the strategy of I'm gonna make it more appealing. I'm gonna change my environment. I'm gonna have ready-made protein sources in the fridge. It could be tuna tins if you like tuna. It could be, okay, I'm gonna cook some chicken breast and it's gonna be in a Tupperware container. It's gonna be there for you to do. It's gonna remind you when you open the fridge. Okay, the protein's there. I'm only gonna do it once a week. And if shit, I did it once a week and now I can do it twice a week. Perfect. And then if you feel like that's sustainable, just keep rolling with it. And I think the other thing I kind of wanted to touch on is having kind of like making it satisfying, making the goal satisfying. And I know some goals cannot be really that attractive or satisfying. Wartime weight loss can be difficult at times, but finding things throughout the process that kind of make it more attractive or satisfying for you to do. And it's kind of like having a bit of accountability. And it doesn't have to be like, I think when people think of accountability, they mean like a PT that's chirping at you all the time. You're like, oh, it's annoying. But it's kind of like your own support network that you can have time to reflect and actually enjoy the progress you've already made. It could even be a week. So kind of having like weekly check-ins. I'm gonna have a simple calendar and you're gonna tick every week that you've met your goal. Okay. I hit my protein target twice a week this week. Tick. And then for that month, you've got all the ticks. Okay, sweet. I'm rolling with this really well. Next goal, okay, I'm try and do it 5 times a week. I'm gonna hit my protein goal. Just with a palm-sized meat source at main meals. Tick that month. Wow, this is flying past. The progress is like I'm noticing like I'm ticking these goals off. And you can also, by achieving that goal, you're probably going to feel stronger in the gym if you're going to the gym. You're probably going to have more appetite regulation. All those things you don't even notice you're going to achieve throughout this. And I guess it kind of goes back to not focusing at the end goal of weight loss. You really focus on small steps. How do I even achieve the weight loss? Okay, I need to get more protein in. That's one goal. And like you said, 1 to 2 goals max. Okay,
Yep.
I'm gonna try and okay, it might be protein goal twice a week. Okay, I'm gonna try and hit my fiber goal twice a week on the same day. Okay, what are you gonna do? You're gonna have ready-made vet like salad mixes in the fridge. You're gonna have whatever it is, like a kind of like a muesli bars ready to go. They have a good fiber source in them. These are just examples of things that are convenient, make it real enjoyable as well. So you can just track it, tick them off. You're meeting your goals, and that's kind of how it kind of gets addictive, in the lack of a better word. Kind of like, wow, I'm actually you want to keep going. Like, and I think that's the thing with weight loss, especially, is it's so boring trying to achieve those goals when you don't have a specific goal. Number one, I want weight loss. Okay, how much? 10 kilos. Why? You define that. Okay, how are you gonna make it actionable? You're gonna find some small steps, and how's that even gonna happen? And then you have small like check-ins every week. Okay, it might even not even be weight you're checking every week. It could be like those goals I just mentioned, hitting your protein target. And then maybe once a month you'll weigh yourself. Okay, am I on track? Like you just kind of ticking things off. And you're like, wow, this is just you're really just zooming out and really focusing on the small things, and you're really making it enjoyable from the start.
I think one of the big things in the modern world now is decision fatigue.
Hmm.
I think people have got too many options. And I think they've got too many options with a lot of things in life. You finish school and you've got all these degrees you can do. You can eat all of these different types of food. You go into the supermarket now, and with food technology, there's so many options. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I would really like the idea of go-to meals, having, and we've mentioned this on the podcast before, breakfast, lunch, dinner, you have 3 to 5 meals that are all similar in terms of their macronutrient profile, and you get a bit of variety with it, but you know that you don't have to make these decisions because they're all pretty similar.
Hmm.
So I think that's really important because I feel like you're kind of setting yourself up for not being successful with nutrition if you have too many things that you're deciding on every day. You've
Hmm.
got, all right, what are we having for dinner tonight? And you've got 30 meals in the back of your head you want to have. Yeah, you want to have some variety, but consistency is really, really important,
Yeah.
and then you're not fatigued from all those decisions every day. I much prefer that personally, and I think most people are pretty good with that. Most people will eat similar things each day,
Hmm.
and all you need to do often with people, especially people that maybe only need to lose a little bit of weight or that's their goal at the moment, you just need to make a few hacks, like
Hmm.
some diet hacks.
Hmm.
Use a slightly different source of yogurt or use a slightly different source of this or that. Reduce how much sugar you're having. You're putting sugar in your tea and coffee and these type of things. It's tiny little changes over a period of time will enable you to reach your goals long term.
Yeah. I'm kind of giving away like the whole purpose of a dietitian at this point. Like what I do with clients is we find out what the goal is. Okay, weight loss, whatever it is. And I literally just go into more detail. Okay, why do you want the weight loss? Do you want to, you find out their why. That's what I'm doing next. Okay, how are we going to achieve that why? And kind of zooming out, okay, action steps. What are we going to do? Small things. And I'm literally going to set 1 to 2 goals. And that's literally all we're going to focus on for that whole time period I'm seeing them in terms of like between an issue and a review or review and review. Focus on those 2 goals and this strategies. I'm going to provide strategies to how to achieve that. I'm going to provide examples that worked in the past with clients. And that could be having those convenient snacks and low calorie snacks that you can have on the go that provide that protein source and the fiber source. Or it might be just kind of like what items are really good protein sources that are regularly, like kind of usually lean sources as well, and kind of how to prep them in bulk for the week, whatever it is. And you're really just kind of guiding them through it and how to make it enjoyable from the start. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if we go into the world of exercise, and that's obviously more my domain, even though I do work in the nutrition space, I think people fall into the habit of getting sucked into these 12-week challenges, and the 12-week challenge is 4 to 5 sessions a week. And then once they finish that 12-week challenge, have they actually built any sustainable habits going forward? Potentially not, because it's been really, really hard and they've been just told what to do. They've gone into an F45 or something like that, and it's just like, do this.
Mhm.
And then they couple that with nutrition. The coaching's probably not there. They haven't built sustainable habits going forward. And I've put this post up on my Instagram before. If someone does 5 sessions a week for 12 weeks, that isn't as good if they stop then and there for the rest of the year,
Mhm.
as opposed to someone doing 1 to 2 every single week for the whole year.
Mhm.
And this is the reason why I'll typically, if a new patient comes in and they just want to get fitter, get stronger, get into the gym, I'll normally start them with 1 to 2 sets of an exercise, might give them 4 exercises in a session. So they might be doing 2 sets of a squat, 2 sets of an RDL, 2 sets of a bench press, and 2 sets of a row. Might take them 15, 20, 30 minutes max,
Mhm.
depending on the rest period. But we're making it sustainable. And also, they're not going to be crazy sore from that first session because I feel like PTs fall into that trap as well. Like, just because you've got a really good history of exercise doesn't mean that the client in front of you does, and they're going
Mhm.
to be able to cope with a lot of volume.
Yeah.
If you give them a lot of volume in that first session, they're going to be so sore they won't want to come back.
Mhm.
So it's finding that sweet spot of enough, but not too much. And remember, if someone's a newbie to the gym, you don't need to give them much at all because they'll get newbie gains. So you don't need to worry about volume to start with. You just give them a little bit. They'll get used to it. They'll start to see the newbie gains and just gradually add to it. And you start with 1 session a week, maybe 2. Once they're hitting up 2 and they're like, yep, I'm nailing this. I want to go to 3, go to 3. And most of the population need more than 3? Probably not.
Mhm.
Most of the population just need 2 to 3. If someone's really focused on aesthetic goals, yeah, you potentially push it to 4, but 3 is better than 4 if it's well programmed. and
Yeah.
the four isn't well programmed, and they're just stuffing around and getting nowhere near failure during each set. So the same thing from an exercise perspective, I'll ask the why, and people often in this period of time, they'll come in, they want to lift weights, they're going to start running and they're going to start Pilates as well. I just say to them, good luck. You're not going to be able to sustain that going
Yeah.
forward. Choose one, focus on the one. And then as you nail that, then potentially add in the running. You
Yeah.
can't just add all of these things in. And one more thing on it as well is so you commit to it going forward, don't just say you're going to do it. Put it in the calendar like you would a meeting at work.
Yeah.
And that meeting is locked in.
hmm
It's locked in every Monday at 5 p.m. You're going to the gym or at 11 a.m. on Monday morning or whatever it is. Put it in as a meeting. It's your time. And if you've got a job that allows you to do that, ask your boss and say to them that you want to go at this time.
Yeah.
I'll make up that hour at the end of the day or whatever it is.
hmm
So I think that's really important and powerful because then rather than saying I will later on in the day, you definitely will if you put it in as a meeting and you
hmm
make it the priority because you wouldn't miss a work meeting, would you?
Yeah, exactly. And it's literally an example of changing your identity. So you're changing like I'm literally doing this no matter what. This is the person that achieves this goal. This is what they would do. You're changing your identity to someone that goes to the gym, not trying to go to the gym. You're going to the gym and you're going to go 3 days a week or 2 days a week. You're that person. You're changing your identity. You're not that person that's a newbie that's going in there. You're a person that's going 2 days a week and you're enjoying it and you're loving it and you're getting enjoyment out of the gym. And also, that's an example of making an environment more appealing, making it easier. So, like, it's in the calendar. It's part of your environment. You utilize a calendar for work. It's part of your environment. And our example I use is you have big long days at work, clinically at the hospital, and I don't get home till around 6 o'clock p.m. And I leave my gym gear in the car straight away. So once I get in the car from work, the gym gear is already there. I have zero things I got to think about. All I do is put my favorite song on. I'm going straight to the gym. Easy as. Like that's my environment. It's a simple thing. There's no less barriers to me going home real quick. Even my home was on the way, you're still hopping out of the car, you're going there, you look at the couch and oh, it looks comfy. You sit down, like, oh, I might have a sip of water first. Okay. Next minute, you're scrolling on your phone. It's been 30 minutes. You've been sitting on the couch and you could have just got changed at the gym and it's straight into it. A lot of people just kind of, yeah, they think it's a lot more barriers than there has to be. You should remove those barriers that you kind of recognize that are going to come up.
Agreed. I've always, I've even had clients over the years when they go to bed, they sleep in their exercise gear, and then they get up in the morning, and all they've
Whatever
got to do is
works.
put their shoes on, and their shoes are right next to the bed, or they sleep in their normal gear, and then right next to the bed, as soon as they get out of bed, they've got their shoes and their gym clothes right there, and as soon as they get out of bed, they see it, bang, put it on, away you go.
Mhm. And
So you're not tempted to stay in bed.
mhm. I think of an amazing example, and it actually just came to me now that one I used at the start when I was getting in the gym. Because I love coffee. I'm a coffee connoisseur. What I do was, and I like iced coffee, so lucky I don't have to even make it hot in the morning. I'll literally pre-make my iced coffee the night before, and all I have to do is add ice to it. And you're making it attractive. You're making that goal more enjoyable. So you're not only you have the so you're controlling your environment. So you have the gym gear out. You're wearing it to bed. Whatever you're doing. You have the gym gear. You get changed, and then all you're doing is looking forward to your coffee that's already pre-made. So that's also
Yep.
convenient. You're making it easy. So you grab the coffee, your iced coffee, you're drinking that, you listen to your favorite music, you're making it enjoyable. There's ways to make this enjoyable than it being like, "Oh, I don't know what I'm gonna wear tomorrow. I'll figure it out in the morning." You wake up, you snooze the alarm. Oh God, I don't have time. I couldn't find my clothes, and I had to go buy a coffee at the cafe before work. Those aren't real barriers that you should be worrying about. You can really
And I
back.
think I think giving yourself a reward at the end or before, like you've just said, is a really good way of doing it. And a nice little reward that I'll often use as a bit of a carrot for people is go to the gym with a friend. And after you go to the gym, guess what you can do? You can go and get a coffee together, and the social outing is the reward.
Yeah.
You go to the gym together. Yeah, you'll talk at the gym, but you're there to work. And then when you go to the coffee shop, then you can sort of delve into how your life's going and whatever and have some deep and meaningful conversations. But when you're at the gym, you're there to work, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and those are the things that really, yeah, you zoom out, you can make things easy as, like, you can make it easy as, you're like 2 weeks in, your identity is already changing. You're like, I don't, like, if someone came to me and said, you can't go to the gym now, and I'm asked, like me a month ago, I'm like, oh, sweet. But then you've gone a month in, you've seen the progress, you've seen how easy it can be. You're like, no, I want to go. Like, I don't care if you want me to not to go. Like, you kind of like change your identity, and it naturally happens when you see progress and you see it's enjoyable, and you're seeing the other results of the high energy, the visually you look a bit more confident in your clothes or whatever it is. There's other things that come along with it that you like, you just kind of notice, and you change your identity, you're seeing the enjoyment.
Yeah, totally. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on before we finish up the pod? Because I think we've been going for about 30 minutes.
Mhm. I guess I'll kind of summarize the key concepts, and this table I'll provide on our Instagram as well. It's from Atomic Habits, and I also provide a link to a website where it provides like kind of a summary of Atomic Habits, so you don't have to read it. I would prefer you, like I recommend you do read it, but if you want to look at these first, it's kind of like some tables and graphs that are from the book that you can kind of look at and see what we're talking about today, and you
I
can
assume you'd also be able to just ask ChatGPT for a summary of Atomic Habits, and then you could expand on that summary as well, and it'd give
yeah,
you a decent
multivariate
breakdown.
too, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So how to create a good habit. So first law. Cue, so make it obvious. We spoke about that already. It's kind of putting those nutrition things in front of you, like those healthy snacks in front of you. It's making the gym clothes in front of you. You're going to the gym that's closest to you, whatever it is. That's also making it easy. Second law, craving. So you're making it attractive. So whether that's you're going to have a coffee with your friend after gym, you're making it attractive. You're kind of like, okay, this is actually going to be enjoyable and like kind of satisfying. And then third law being make it easy. So, like I said, it's going to be the convenience, or it's going to be, okay, you're going to bulk prep a meal that you enjoy every week. You know it's convenient, it's easy. You're going to bulk cook that because it's easy. And then the third law is making it satisfying. So, like I said, you're going to start tracking those habits. You're going to tick every week off and go, okay, wow, like this is a piece of cake, whatever I expected. You've gone a month in, and it's been really satisfying so far. And you can kind of do those whole loop again of another goal. You're gonna make it obvious, then you're gonna make it attractive, you're gonna make it easy, and you're gonna make that goal satisfying as well. And you just kind of do that loop, these goals, and start at one or two, probably even one to start off with. I think you should just focus on one goal thing,
Mm.
training or nutrition, focus on one thing, and then add something else in. And then obviously the same in reverse for a bad habit. So make it invisible. You don't want to see it in the house, whatever it is. Make it unattractive. So how are you gonna make it unattractive? Like, are you gonna, I don't know, you're gonna delete your Uber Eats app, and then I don't know, you live I can't think of an example now, but you're just making it like way more barriers involved to try and like get that thing that you don't want to have. Like you kind of like want to avoid. Make it difficult. So kind of the same thing as well. And then make it unsatisfying. So how are you gonna do that? Are you gonna, okay, I'm gonna delay this coffee. If I like try and think of a way that like skipping the gym. I'm not gonna allow myself to have a coffee at all in the morning if I skip the gym. That's pretty like unsatisfying. You can hold yourself to that. Like if I don't go to the gym in the morning, I won't even let myself have any caffeine all day today. And then you remind yourself throughout the day, my God, I wish I went to the gym. Obviously, that takes kind of commitment to kind of hold yourself accountable to not having that coffee if you didn't go gym. But these are all kind of examples of how to avoid the opposite happening as well.
Yeah,
So
totally. I think the last thing as well is you just got to have some straight up discipline.
yeah.
There's a lot of fucking snowflakes out there. And the reality is, yeah, you can do all these things and create these habits and read all these books, but at the end of the day, you got to have a little bit of discipline as well and harden up and don't get bitter, get better and focus on what you can control and create those habits that are going to stick long term. But discipline goes a long way.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Anything else to touch on, mate? But other than that,
No, well, happy New Year to everyone. I hope
yeah,
the New Year's amazing. Reach out to me or Andrew if you do need help with these goals as well. That's what we're here to do, training or nutrition. And yeah, hope the best year for everyone.
I echo those thoughts, and as usual, stay strong.